What is up, RotoGrinders? It is another Thursday where I invade Blender's turf. Typically, Blender's a half hour in. He's long-winded. He's in the middle of his first point right now. It's usually 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock is when the show starts. But, we have some MLB DFS to tend to. A four-game slate, split slate will be on later today. Heads up, later today is 4:30, I believe, is the early start time because first pitch, MLB DFS-wise, is like 6:05. It's an early starting slate, a 7-gamer. But we don't care about, this is DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. We don't care about later today, Blender. We care about now, today and now. And now we have a 4-gamer with some phenomenal pitching, especially 2 pitchers up top that look absolutely spectacular. First-time All-Star Paul Skeens. I know you dug through all the All-Stars. You have all the snubs listed and all that kind of stuff for sure. Yes, Paul Skeens did make the All-Star game after 11 starts or so. We did just get the Pirates lineup, by the way. I believe so, at least unless the chat is misleading me. But wait a second. Jake is telling me in chat that Cruz is not starting, but I don't see
a lineup. I think that's hashtag fake news.
Oh,
I mean, at least that's now. Unless there's some reporter reporting that O'Neal Cruz is having the day off, but we don't have I have lists on Twitter. I don't see a Pirates lineup yet.
I think there's a decent chance he doesn't play, just because he hasn't played since Saturday or Sunday. He was pulled with a hammy. So, I see. Okay, they're talking about LA De La Cruz. That's what they're talking about. Yes, we might be without both of the Cruzes at shortstops. At the shortstop position because, LA De La Cruz is not playing today for the Reds. He's not spectacular. He's a little bit weaker against lefties, but, that's one of the more attackable spots. This is it's a Fleet Thursday. It's a Fleet Thursday. Get excited. We have 2 to give away today. 1 now, 1 later on. We got all the lineups in with the exception of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might come in a little late because, again, the O'Neal Cruz situation. My guess is he doesn't play just because he hasn't played the last several games. All-Star break right around the corner. Hamstrings, you tend not to want to mess with those. They can get re-injured. My guess is, I have no idea, but we're creeping to the point where maybe just sit him until the All-Star break and, get him ready. Or maybe he's going to be out even longer. Who knows? There's been really nothing that I've seen on it. But, every other lineup is in Blender. Paul Skeens. Flaherty is back. I think he was dealing with a back, taking on the tough matchup there in Cleveland. 4 very clear, these are the best pitchers, and even amongst those 4, there's distinct tiers. If you look at the strikeout numbers, 33.6% for Paul Skeens, 33% for Jack Flaherty, 2.53 Sierra, 2.51 Sierra, respectively. You can make an argument these are the 2 best pitchers in baseball right now on this 4-game slate throwing baseballs. And then Mackenzie Gore has also been really, really good. 27% Ks. Hunter Green, almost 27% Ks as well. Tough ballpark, but good matchup against the horrendous Rockies. Then there's 4 other guys throwing baseballs. Savali, interesting. We'll talk about it. Spencer Howard, not interesting. I assume he's not going very deep. David Peterson, not much to get excited about. And then there's Austin Gomber, who his matchup got a little bit easier, taking on Cincinnati without LA De La Cruz, but still, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear pitching wise, quote unquote, what the best stuff is. Blender, welcome to the show. How's your Thursday doing?
Fine. Normally I'm on with Will, and we're opining over the fact that there's only 4 games and not much on the pick'em board. But I'll settle for you being here. That's fine. We're almost up to All-Star break. I'm. This is the point of the season, Dean. I said this to James. First week of the MLB season. First week. I said, what's the over-under on the point in which you switch over to, when does the NFL DFS start? When does the NFL season start? I'm looking, and I always say it's the week before the All-Star game in baseball. MLB.
I'm still kind of locked in and juiced. You're fading. You're fading as far as baseball. I'm still into it. You may usually catches me in the last month of the season.
No, I'm still into it, but that's the point where like all you see, it's like, you ever been driving, you're driving cross country or something. You're driving, it's a long day, you're
I've done
10-hour
that before.
drive, right? You're going through Texas or something, or Nebraska or whatever. And like April is like the Northeast. You're going down, you're hitting Massachusetts, then Rhode Island, then Connecticut, then New York. You're like things are happening, right? May comes around, it's like that. June, because you got the NBA going on, you got the NHL going on, you got the PGA big tournaments, you got MMA pay-per-views, stuff's going on. Then once the NBA and NHL playoffs kind of die down, you're kind of like going through like the cornfields in like Indiana, and it's like okay, there's not much around here, but at least there's an exit like every 7 miles, and there's a little town with a gas station.
There's a Love's,
right? A Love's, right? Exactly. You get one of those. You get a Buc-ee's every so often. That would
that's
be like
Texas, basically. Yeah.
Right. And then once you get to once all of that is done, it's time to drive through Nebraska. And it's like like you see every exit is like, this is the last gas for 68 miles. It's like, oh, I got to make a choice now. Like that's what it feels like. That's what July and August kind of feels like, where it's like you see NFL in the distance. You see those mountains. And it's like they look so close, but they're really, really far away. They look so close, but it's going to take you 14 hours to get there.
I don't think I've ever been in Nebraska. I've driven cross country a couple times, so somehow I've missed Nebraska several times. But doesn't sound like I'm missing out the way the picture you were painting.
You know what I mean?
It's spectacular.
The states that are either long in some way, where like you feel like you had like Pennsylvania. Typically coming from the Northeast, Pennsylvania was always kind of that state of like you start in Philadelphia, that area, or Allentown, and about it like where the hell is Pittsburgh? And it just feels like it's 400 miles of just rest stops, and that's it.
Still waiting for Pittsburgh. Speaking of Pittsburgh, so that's the one lineup we're waiting on. Everything else we got. For a gamer, let's go ahead and give up the first clue for Fleet Thursday. If you're not aware, I'm going to give you 5 individual clues, one at a time, one every like 5 or 10 minutes, depending on. And you tell me what athlete we're talking about. If you can guess correctly, you get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. All the bells, all the whistles, every sport you can think of, with the exception of NASCAR, Optimizer, projections, the articles, Dave Potts' article, the rankings, expert survey, all the goods, everything. Where do you answer the question? You do not answer it on YouTube. You're just getting a reps there. By the way, if you're hanging out on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things, hit all the buttons, hit everything. But in order to actually qualify to get yourself a week free of RG Premium, is the answer in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Jump into the live stream chat channel and tell me what athlete we're talking about. And the very first clue, I'm pulling up my list, is Pirates. Pirates is the very first clue, Blender. Blender, now, if you guess it, I mean, you can. You're not going to get it.
What is it? Is it Calico Jack?
It is not.
Is it Blackbeard? Is it Francis Drake?
It's not
Francis. Is it that type of pirate? I mean, I'm going with you said pirate, and there aren't that many really favorite.
You a big Drake guy? Drake sailed around the world, right? Wasn't that his gimmick? I think that's what he did.
I have no idea. I know he was a pirate.
Well, it sounded like you're familiar with Francis. You didn't even give me Drake. You gave me his first name too, Francis Drake. I think that was his gimmick. Of course.
I mean, he's worthy enough of a first name, so I'm going to say his first name, Francis Drake.
All right. Yeah, so speaking of Pirates, Paul Skeens and the Pirates. Again, no Pittsburgh lineup just yet, but we are assured that Paul Skeens will be taking the bump. He's been spectacular. He is going to be heavily owned because, you got to roster 25% of these guys on DK, and he's also very, very good. Current ownership on him is 55%, 47% for Hunter Green. One of the longest leashes in baseball, if not the longest. I think it's still the longest as far as pitches allowed per start, or pitches thrown per start. And then, double barreling for Flaherty is a little tricky, so he's only getting 20% ownership. Also, tough matchup versus Cleveland. Also, he's been gone for a couple weeks with his back. I assume he's fine, Wonder. they
I
again,
wouldn't be
the All-Star
shocked,
break.
Dean. I would not be shocked if he pitched 4 innings and he came out at 65 pitches. Like, I would
Then
be
why would
shocked.
they pitch him now? Why
I'm
pitch him
not
now
saying
and
that
force him
that'll
out there
happen.
before the
I'm
All-Star
just
break?
saying that I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think he goes
Okay.
100 pitches, but I also, if he went 100 pitches, I wouldn't be shocked either. So, like, I think there's
Would
a
anything
wide.
shock you? Tell me one thing that would
Probably
shock
not.
you. Let's get a baseline
Probably.
because I feel like nothing shocks you. Name one thing that would shock you today.
Would shock me that that you got the 3 Thursday clues in the right order. That the hardest is at the end, and you don't give it away by the second clue. That would shock me. If no one could guess this by the second clue, it's Dean putting this together. Obviously, you don't need the last 3 clues because he'll screw it up somehow. Like, that'll be shocked. But I'm just saying that the range of his pitch count could be wide. So while I think the bat has him at 85 pitches, it could be 95. It also could be 65. It could be 75. It could be, they could just let him go. It could be 105. He could pitch a perfect game for all we know. So I think the ownership is discounted there because of that, ambiguity, and as well as the Guardians aren't the greatest of matchups to begin with. I feel much more comfortable playing Paul Skeens or Hunter Green. It's just that I don't know if you can play both of them. I mean, you can. You're gonna be playing some like $2,700 guys in your lineup, but it's doable.
Yeah.
But if you told me to choose between Green and Skeens, I mean, I think it's. I mean, obviously Skeens is 1,100 more. I mean, I side with Hunter Green just because of the $1,100 difference, but really they were like priced about the same. It's virtually a coin flip to me. So I don't know. It really comes down to, because it's kind of a game theory slate. It's 4 games, so there's you don't have many choices bats wise on which is more comfortable to stack Colorado or stack Milwaukee against these 2 pitchers, and whatever you feel is better, then play the other pitcher.
But is that a binary choice? You don't have to do either.
No, you don't have to do either. I'm just saying, as of right now, I think I would. Milwaukee. I mean, the Milwaukee lineup. I don't want to stack Colorado or Milwaukee on this slate, but it's like how on a 4-game slate, like I play for glory and gold. I play for first place and nothing. So like my attitude is
you play for the money. Well, yeah, you're talking about.
I play for the money, but I play for first place.
Yeah.
I don't play to cash and get 1.5x. So I'm like, what is the easiest path for me to win first place? It's probably stacking against a 55% owned pitcher, and there's 2 of them on the slate. So it's like I'll play one of my lineups as a Rocky stack or a Brewer stack. It's just I'm not sure which one. And I'll still play Hunter Green in another lineup and Paul Skeens in another lineup. So it's not like it isn't the binary choice. It's just that if you told me which one would you rather do, I'm not sure if I could choose between Green or Skeens or between Colorado or Milwaukee. I think that I side with the pitchers on this slate. Typically, I side with the stacking against the 55% on pitchers, but it's hard for me to believe that Colorado and Milwaukee are going to be the highest scoring stack on the slate, even if one of these 2 guys puts up a mediocre score.
We will talk stacks later on, but yeah, Colorado's got a 3.7 total despite hitting baseballs today in Cincinnati. Good hitters ballpark. 3.7 total for Milwaukee. Good, pretty good ballpark taking on Skeens. They're well behind Cincinnati, who's got a 5 total. But the totals today are not very big. The Mets have a pretty big total. The biggest one on the board, 4.7 in a terrible ballpark. Actually, second biggest, I should say. One of the bigger ones, though. And Mackenzie Gore is one of the pitchers that I do respect. It is a good hitting environment when it comes to weather today, at least. The baseline is not good in New York, but we have a 34% bump. This is a 12-game sample size, so grain of salt. But we also have the fire emoji. It's 86 degrees, 14 miles per hour to dead center in New York. So, it's as good as that environment is going to get, basically, in New York today. But the Flaherty thing, by the way, one more thing as far as he's on a 1-year contract. 1 year, $14 million. Very tradable. If they want to trade him, Detroit is probably a team that's not going to make the playoffs. So maybe they trade him. It does, to me, it just wouldn't make any sense. Just kind of like logic using, if he's not, he's got to be 100%. Otherwise, you just hold him out because he's an asset and the All-Star break is looming. And why not just give him some time, give him a break? I assume he's in the All-Star game. I haven't checked and confirmed that off the top of my head, but he's got to be an All-Star. These guys actually might be the starting pitchers for the All-Star game, to be honest. I don't think that's been announced just yet, but I think there's a chance that both these guys, both Skeens and Flaherty, let me know in chat if you guys know who, if that's been announced just yet. Curious. That's the other thing I was thinking about. Like they would pitch the All-Star game on, short rest, and you don't want to mess with Skeen. Sometimes managers will say, like, hold my guy out. I don't want him to throw because it'll mess with the schedule. That's a conversation for another day, but maybe they would go like an inning less, but that's probably their throw day on Tuesday, if anything. So I think it's not something really to be concerned with. Maybe I was overthinking it. By the way, let's go ahead and drop clue number 2 for the people. I'm checking the live stream chat right now. I know producer Steve is looking as well, but I do not see. One clue, one guess per clue. You cannot multi-enter. You can MME like on DK on FanDuel, but you cannot MME on Fleet Thursday. You get one guess per clue. Let's go ahead and drop the second clue for the people. Of course, number 1 is Pirates. Number 2 is Frank. So Blender, I mean, I know you know it, right? It probably just popped up in your head. No,
I do know
probably
it.
not. No,
Oscar Mayer,
so.
Oscar, some type of Frank. Nathan.
Oscar Mayer did not sell around the world.
Nathan
Evaldi.
And a pirate. Nathan Blackbeard.
What did he do? What was Nathan Blackbeard?
I don't know. That's the Fleet Thursday. Obviously, he was good at something. Maybe he was good at darts or something.
Archery. Yeah, big archery enthusiast.
Archery, exactly. Yes.
So, Savali, any interest in Savali? This Pirate lineup probably is not going to have O'Neal Cruz. Probably not. Savali is somebody that Milwaukee traded for. That they saw something, and he not too long ago, speaking of the All-Star game, I think he was an All-Star last year. I want to say he was an All-Star last year. Close to. Has not been a great season for Savali. But especially in comparison to Skeens and Flaherty and Gore and Green, he's been a little bit unlucky. If you want to tell that story, the ERA 5.18, but the Sierra is just 4.06. His leash is pretty good too. I think he threw over 100 pitches in his first start with Milwaukee. He's actually really getting a ton of ownership, just kind of a salary squeeze situation. 55% for Skeens, 47% for Green. Number 3 is Savali. It's ahead of Flaherty, which is pretty interesting. Peterson in the middle at 21. Gore at 17 is also pretty interesting to me. I understand why he's getting less, but I think he's an interesting dart for tournaments. Gomber, I mean, I'm not playing Gomber. I'm not making enough lineups to get there. I would play him over Spencer Howard if that's the call you want to. If you're that desperate, you're scraping that barrel. Spencer Howard versus Gomber, like Howard, not very good, and not somebody that's going to pitch more than like 4 or 5 innings, unless he's like crazy efficient. Your read as far as SP2. How do you feel about Savali as the second most popular pitcher? He is 6K too. I kind of buried the lead. 6K versus Pittsburgh.
Well, that's the reason. Yeah, I mean he's gonna be super. He's gonna be mega owned. If you're gonna be stacking expensive, like Savali plus like the Mets stack or something like that. Those two things go together, right? Because 6K Savali, he has a 5.5 strikeout prop for 6K. You typically don't. He has like a similar strikeout line to Mackenzie Gore, and he's $2,500 cheaper. So, like, to me, it's a no-brainer. That's the cheap pitcher that you do play. I mean, he's facing Pittsburgh. Assuming no O'Neal Cruz. I think he's going to be mega owned. I think he's being as owned as Green and Skeens, probably. Maybe not absurdly to that extent, but possibly 40% owned. I'd rather play him than Gomber and definitely Howard. Howard is
out.
He's not a guy that's going to pitch like 3 innings or something, or maybe 4 innings. Gomber, good luck against Cincinnati, but Peterson, maybe against the Nationals, I guess you could take a shot. I think Savali stands out the most against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a sub-4 total. Savali could strike people out. I mean, look at the game against the Dodgers. He gave up 3 home runs. He still struck out 8 and put up a decent score. For 6K, you're not looking to get 30 points, right? If you could get double digits, if you could get 12 at a Savali for 6K, like you could still win a GPP on a 4-game slate. Like that's perfectly fine.
His projection is higher than that. His projection is pretty healthy.
Right.
Over 15-ish points on DK, which feels a little bit ambitious to me. I don't think it's wrong. It's basically the same as Gore, and he's cheaper.
Right.
It's a little bit less than Flaherty, but again, you're getting a huge discount from Flaherty. Flaherty, I think Flaherty's spectacular, but it's Cleveland, right? You don't really like to pick on Cleveland, but certainly he'll get some strikeouts, I would assume. By the way, DJ and Stoner in chat saying, tell me you hate Colorado sports without telling me you hate because we don't want to play Gomber. Who hates Colorado sports? It's just I hate pitchers that aren't going to get me fantasy points is the problem.
If Austin Gomber was on another team, I wouldn't play him either. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what team he's on.
Yeah, there's no bias. Been to that ballpark. It was the ballpark is spectacular, underrated ballpark. I'm not sure if you've been to Coors Field or not, but I was really impressed. It's been around for like 20 years, right? I feel like it's been around like 20 years or so. I was really impressed. It's still and I was there just a few years ago. I was like, this is legit. One of the nicer ballparks that I've been to. Nicer than anyone that I've seen in Nebraska, if nothing else. I don't know what the best ballpark is in Nebraska. You have a Gore take? Did you talk about Mackenzie Gore?
I don't have a take. I mean, I think the Mets are good. I mean, he'll be low. He'll be the low out of the higher priced pitchers. He'll be the lowest owned. I mean, you can take a shot on him. Understand, buyer beware. Do you get good Mackenzie Gore? Do you get bad Mackenzie Gore? I think most people think they're going to get bad Mackenzie Gore. So the Mets are going to be popular. Mets are the highest projected stack in the bat. But the ownership will be there also. I'm not enamored by playing the Mets today. I'm also not enamored by playing Gore today. I mean, this is kind of a mess slate. Like, as far as like offense is concerned, I would not be shocked, right, Dean? Remember, I'm not shocked by anything.
But nothing shocks you.
Other than no one getting the clue after number 2. So it's one of the rare days that I am shocked, but I would not be shocked if no team scores more than 4 or 5 runs today. Like
I think I did a good job today with Late Thursday. On that note, let's go ahead and drop clue number 3 because people are guessing in the Discord, but nobody's got it just yet. I see Aramis Ramirez, Frank Middleton, Jose Bautista, Joseph Batts. Matt is inspiring off a bunch of Buccaneers, which is like playing the game correctly. Rondé Barber, Derek Brooks, John Lynch. None of those. But clue number 3, maybe this will help some people. Clue number 3 is Squirrel. Squirrel. So Pirate, Frank, and Squirrel. Those are our first 3 clues. Remember, this is Late Thursday. Tell me who we're talking about. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium if you guessed correctly in the Discord channel, the live stream chat channel more specifically. All right. Anything else you want to say as far as pitchers here, Blender? Anything else you want to stress? Like Gore on another slate would stand out.
You're not crazy, Dean. You're not crazy for playing any. I even think you could play Austin Gomber today. It's a 4-game slate. If you want to, right? If you want, I think Spencer Howard is the only X off at pitching. Austin Gomber is like YOLO. Feel free, 150 max. The large field can't. Fine, okay. It's a fun.
Yeah, that was the important thing. You buried the lead.
Crazy on a 4-game slate. Like no stack is an F tier stack today, right? Like you could play anyone on these shorter slates. But I would put my buckets, Dean. So I like doing my buckets of pitchers. So Austin Gomber makes the C bucket because not everyone has to make a bucket. So you're a little bit crazy, but you're not all that crazy. I think in the A bucket, it's Green, Skeens, and Savali. And the B bucket would be Flaherty, Gore, Peterson, right? In that bucket. And then Gomber's just sitting there by himself going, going,
Gore's better than. I don't think you're giving respect. Gore should not be in the same bucket as Peterson. I disagree with that take.
Well, Peterson just as a cheap bid. I'm talking about like, okay, so do you want me to, do I now have to segment out the buckets by salary? Okay, I'll do that for you. We have plenty of time. Okay, so let's do the ABC when it comes to the expensive pitchers. I would put Green and Skeens in the A bucket. I would put Gore and Flaherty in the B bucket, and no one in the C bucket. And then for the cheaper pitchers, I'd put Savali in the A bucket. I'd put Peterson in the B bucket, and I put Gomber in the C bucket, and Spencer Howard I'd tell get lost. Okay, so are you happy now? Peterson and Gore, I've segregated out based on price because Dean, you're obviously you want to enact the class system. Right, the caste system, where the rich don't live in the same neighborhoods as the poor, so the poor pitchers have to have their own buckets on the other side of the railroad tracks, and the expensive pitchers get their own buckets. So you happy now? Now Peterson and Gore don't have to mingle with each other, and the real estate value of their houses don't get adversely affected because you don't want them together in the same bucket.
Don Easy's telling us we need a graphic for these buckets. Yeah, I kind of lost. There was too many buckets. I couldn't keep track of them all in my head. That was a lot going on. But I was just trying to make the point. I think you're besmirching Gore a little bit. He's been spectacular this season. The K's are really strong at 27%. He's on a tier
lower than Green and Skeens. So Green and Skeens,
yes.
Then Gore and Flaherty. That's all I'm saying. It's just that also on the tiers of the cheap pitchers, Savali is ahead of Peterson. So that's all I'm saying.
By the way, just as an aside, we're good playing at least one hitter against our pitcher today.
Yeah. If they're a power hitter, sure.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't want to play Nicky Lopez or whatever that version is. Austin wins against Austin Gomber today. Yeah, sure. That's not something I'm necessarily seeking out. But he's still winning in that Pittsburgh lineup, by the way. I'm on the Twitter seeing if something comes through. But all right. Looks like we do have another winner with
I have another winner. I didn't ruin this, Dean. I have no idea. I have no idea what this is. What
I felt pretty good about this one. We'll play it out, but it looks like we have another winner in the Discord. Clue number 4 is pouch. So it's Pirate, Frank, Squirrel, Pouch. But yeah, we have another winner. It looks like a back-to-back winner, if I'm not mistaken. We have a ringer.
Is this a baseball player?
Well, I mean, it's Fleet Thursday. We have one clue per. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you it's not a baseball player. Pirate doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. It makes sense. But you know what? Per Blender's rules. Like, you say clue number 1 shouldn't be so obvious. Clue number 1 is kind of.
Hold on. I'm starting to get the sense that this may be a fictional character.
It's a real person. This person
does
exist.
Okay. I'm not like, is this something in some animal baseball movie, some cartoon, some G-rated Netflix show where there's some
it's not like
a bunch of animals play sports or something?
This is a real person. You've seen them on your television or on the interwebs. You've seen them on the interwebs within the last almost 10 days, less than the last 10 days. They popped up.
Spying on me? How do you know that I've seen this?
I mean, like the generic you, like somebody. I'm speaking to the people. Somebody in the audience has seen this person.
Generic me. Okay, not actually.
You've probably seen them too, but it all makes sense. Again, Blender, you taught me like you can't just give like a dead-on clue right out the gate. And the clue number 1 was kind of, sort of, somewhat misleading, but not really when you put it all together. Pirate, Frank, Squirrel, Pouch, and just for funsies, since we already got it knocked out, we'll give out the 5th clue. Band is the last clue, and that's BANNED, not BAND. Like your favorite band is Nickelback,
right?
Nothing like that. Okay,
I still don't.
That's the generic. That's the generic you, by the way. It's not you specifically necessarily.
I know what it is now, but I mean, real. What's pirate about this guy?
Well, What do Pirates covet?
Booty?
Okay, yeah. What's
Booty.
another word for
They
booty?
covet
Well, what's
booty.
another word? You're speaking of booty in the sense
Money.
of
Money.
okay. Where is that found?
On an island somewhere.
No. Specifically, you would. Where would you find the booty?
Oh, in a chest, like a treasure chest.
Oh, okay. That's where you would find it.
Still doesn't make any sense, Dean.
You just nailed it. What are you talking about?
What the hell does a squirrel have to do with anything? Squirrel. Okay,
what do squirrels covet?
A little sense. The
what do squirrels covet?
They covet bothering me in my backyard. That's what they covet. They run
and winning
across the
DFS
patio
contests.
and make noise.
Do you have a lot of squirrels in Kentucky?
Yeah, there's ample. I don't know. There seems to be plenty. There are squirrels in my neighborhood. Yeah, they come around.
You still don't know what it is? Like these clues are.
No, I know exactly. I know exactly what that's what I'm questioning. What the pouch? That's a clue for this?
Yeah. So
really?
So name me an animal that has a pouch. What's the first animal you think?
Kangaroo.
Of? What is a baby kangaroo called?
To go that extent, why can't you just have the clue be baby kangaroo then?
Do you want participation trophies? Do you think everybody should just be given a week free of RG Premium?
Yeah, but baby kangaroo as the fourth clue, I think you're deserving of that as the fourth clue. If pouch was the first clue, I'd be like, yeah, I'm lost. Right? That would make sense. But by the time you get the fourth clue, I don't think you have to go from pouch to baby kangaroo and then to the actual answer in order. The steps that you need to take for this is
so.
I don't know.
I mean, you are Goldilocks. You know,
apparently
I
ruined it from number two.
It's too hard. It's too easy.
Steve was complaining in our little chat that I thought the name.
I wasn't
Frank.
complaining. I wasn't complaining.
You were alluding to hot dogs,
right? Because I thought
people
obviously it has nothing to do with a hot dog. Then next thing you know, I have no idea what the hell anything is. Someone gets it right, and I'm like, really? It had to do with hot dog.
What is another name for a hot dog besides wiener?
Well, Frank.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So Don Yeezy in chat saying, "Come on, Dean, that's just too deep." What do you mean? One person got it in 3 guesses. You have to earn it, and like that's the whole point. The point isn't like
you can't go by that, Dean. Everyone guesses your Thursday in 3 guesses, no matter what you put the clues in. I just want, from a creative standpoint, want you to do better. It doesn't matter to me who wins.
This was a very creative. I'm sorry, but you can knock the previous ones. I felt good about this one. Pirate, of course. Pirates covet treasure chests. Trevor chests. Easy for me to say.
So pirate. Really?
But it's perfectly misleading too, which is the brilliant part of it.
You shouldn't have to need the clue in order to get the real clue because you're like pirate. Like, no, treasure chest. Why don't you just make it treasure chest?
Well, that's the athlete?
Well, that's the clue. That's the clue.
No,
because
chest is in the clue then. That
it's
gives
in the name. Look, why don't you just literally hand people RG treasure? Thanks for playing. Thanks for trying. Blender,
like
we got to do our stacks.
Clues. It's like you need to get the clue. Like you have to look at these words and go, "What's the real clue?" And then take those clues and then think of the person, right? Like this unnecessary extra step.
I was going to make it. I don't know if you know, Joey Chestnut is the answer, by the way. Poll in chat, is Joey Chestnut an athlete, professional eater? Joey Chestnut, of course, you know he's banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating contest as well. I say, of course we know. I think you know that, Blender. I was going to go with a Bond villain. I don't know if you know what Joey Chestnut's nickname is, Jaws. So but that might have been too deep for the people, and like it's not the first Bond villain I think people think of when it Jaws. I don't think I'm not a big Bond guy, but I'm pretty sure it's not like on the Mount Rushmore of Bond villains. Final thoughts as far as pitchers. Let's talk about some stacks, Blender. This is a 4-gamer. This is why we kind of went back and forth on that banter. We apologize for. They're going to go around the horn and get position by position and all that when crunch time comes in. But we got an hour to talk 4 games, and the slate is pretty straightforward. So, if you want to say that was some filler, Yeah, Mr. Gerg is asking why he was banned. He was banned because Nathan's would not let him participate because he had a deal with a non-meat company. He's a spokesman for, I think, a non, one of the companies out there.
Impossible Burgers.
There you go.
The plant-based crap.
Would you say that Chestnut is an athlete?
Yeah, why not? Are we
He
athletes?
trains like an athlete.
Are we fantasy athletes? Are we athletes?
No, we're definitely not. No, we are not fantasy athletes. No. That's not up for debate, is it?
They have Dean. They have Microsoft Excel championships.
Okay,
They do have spreadsheet tournaments. So maybe we are athletes.
I mean, you're really if you feel like you're an athlete, then you're an athlete. If that's how you want to identify, by all means.
We're
We're
mathletes, Dean. We're mathletes.
Okay, sure. Why not? Final thoughts as far as pitchers before we talk about some stacks. What do you got for me?
Play anyone but Spencer Howard.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, yes. Green and Skeens, top pitchers. If you want a cheap pitcher, the top pitcher is Aaron Savali. Everyone else is viable except for Spencer Howard. But obviously, those three are going to be the most on.
All right. First game as far as the stack game. Oh, talk about your stack board. Tell the people and this is actually funny enough. Turns out you don't always support Grinders Live. You don't watch every single episode. You don't have it on your DVR set and good to go. But we had this category.
Dean, I binge watch. I wait for the whole season to be over, and then I watch them all. I mean, that's how me and my wife act. So I'll start on opening day once the baseball season is over, just to watch Grinders. Just binge watch all of Grinders Live. So sometimes I do not catch the show.
Yeah,
I catch usually the end of it into crunch time because I care more about what Roth says than what you say typically.
That's fair. That's fair. I understand.
Fair. You understand it. So no, I did not watch Tuesday's show, and apparently, Dean, you always did 5 minutes before the show, like, you got anything, and I have to come up with something. So I came up with essentially the same thing that you asked Tim on Tuesday. So now you get. He
did specific card games, table games. So slots was not accounted for.
These are casino games in general.
Yeah. Which, on a side note, by the way, did you see? Was it yesterday? Hard Rock. I guess is the Mirage that's turning into Hard Rock, and apparently they have like this progressive. They have to pay out. So and I'm not sure if there's like loopholes or not, but like people are. It's like a madhouse there. It's an old school term, my parents would say, but it's like a madhouse. Like people are, trying to get on every slot machine possible, and essentially the thought is like before they close down and transition into Hard Rock. I think it's Mirage to Hard Rock, right? I'm fairly certain that's how it's going down. Hard Rock bought them out. That they have to pay out this progressive supposedly, so people are like frantically just playing slots all day long, and the thought that this has to pay out, but. Why are we assuming that the odds are increased to pay out these?
People are stupid, Dean. The answer is always right? People are stupid. Yeah, there you go.
So the progressive isn't getting juiced, right? It's still the same probability, and it's not going to pay out. And
there's no reason why it shouldn't.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they're artificially juicing it or not, but just to kind of get it over with. But I'm curious. It feels like people are probably losing their money, like you said. They're probably doing a terrible job and. They're lining up to lose their money. But I was looking at some of the clips on the Twitter. Anyways, explain your board, and we'll go game by game as far as throwing teams in tiers.
Okay, casino games. I'm not including poker because poker is a peer-to-peer game where the house takes a rake. So that's skill-based, so we don't have to worry about that. So we threw out pokers. I saw Tim's list. I went back right before the show to see what Tim posted. It's pretty much the same. Right. And I'm ranking these based on entertainment only. All these games are bad. Okay. I just want to say do not play any of these games. They're negative expectation games unless you're an advantage player and you have some type of angle or some type of thing. All these games are bad. Okay. If you love playing any one of these games too much, there'll be a link in the description. It's 1-800-GAMBLER. Bet responsibly. Whatever responsible gaming thing I have to say for this tier list. They're all bad. Don't do it. This is all entertainment only. So that's why I'm ranking them based on entertainment. Number one by
just
far.
a heads up, Under.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, not to cut you off. We got like 15 minutes until crunch time comes in, and we got 4 games. So let's try to be a little bit more concise. But turns out we're running out of time. I don't know where it went, but we got to speed things up. Continue.
Okay, craps, most entertaining game. You can put down the minimum bet on the pass line, maximum odds. That's it. Play with a lot of people at the table. Everyone's yelling. Everyone's rooting for the same thing. Get your drinks. Everyone's talking. That's fine. Very social game. Blackjack. Get a full table. Get on a 3-2 blackjack table. They start opening up these 6-5 blackjacks. You don't want any of those. So the regular 3-2 blackjack tables with the normal rules. Get on a full table. Everyone's rooting for the same thing there. You play basic strategy blackjack. Get your little card if you want to and just do what's on the card and watch everyone else make mistakes. Everyone's rooting for the dealer to bust. That's an entertaining game. Roulette's kind of boring, but that's another game where a lot of people are around the same, would sit around the same table, a little bit more social, not the greatest odds. I think it's kind of boring. The most boring table game is Baccarat, unless you're in the high limit room. So that there's and if you're in the high limit, because Baccarat is played by you could get only the green jelly beans. You're getting escargot from like Thailand or some island that no one's ever heard of. If you're one of those people where you could set the rules and the dealers will come out in whatever attire you want, like if you're doing $20,000 a hand, yeah, sure, Baccarat's fine. But this is me describing Baccarat. Flip, you lose. Like that's it. Baccarat is one step above slots, and slots is the least entertaining because you're pushing a button and but what else? You're not doing anything.
They made it more fun over the years, like adding remember the Addams Family? You liked that as a kid. Here now it's an Addams Family slots machine, and Morticia's going to take your money.
Watch Netflix. There's ton. You'd play Candy Crush or something. I mean, it's whatever.
You can't win any money off of watching Netflix.
Who knows?
All right, Colorado, Cincinnati is our first game. 8.5. Hunter Green, one of the more popular pitchers, taking the bump, taking on the horrendous Rockies. There is no EDLC, no De La Cruz for Cincy, so the lineup is weakened a little bit. By the way, you didn't know this. Austin, maybe you did. Austin Slater's a red. Just a heads up. He's been a red for sure. He's on the Reds now. The historical lefty master. This Reese Hines is a nice punt. Still, his price has not been baked up to where it should be. He does have a good counting stats as far as homers and stolen bases in the minors. Hilliard banged out 2 homers yesterday. I did not have him. That was a bummer. Gomber versus Green. Where do you have Colorado and Cincy on the board?
Okay, well, I mean, I think Cincinnati is the top stack of the day, but I'm not sure if anyone should really go in the top tier or the bottom tier. But I mean, just price-wise, I mean, they're going to be the most owned. I think they're going to be the most owned team, but maybe they're not going to be the most owned team enough. So like they'll be the chalk, but they won't be. Maybe they should be 25% owned on the slate, and they end up being 18% owned. So maybe I just put the Reds, right in craps, right? C for craps. We put them in craps. And the Rockies, I don't want to play the game against Hunter Green, but remember, there's no slots tier team on the slate on a 4-game slate. So the Rockies will flip. Oh, draw. Like the boring Baccarat.
Guardians, Tigers, Flaherty, again, one of the best pitchers on the bump, one of the best pitchers this season, coming back from his back. I assume he is fine. You have a little bit more caution on him. Spencer Howard on the other side, one of the more unplayable pitchers, if not the worst, the 7th worst, probably, if you're doing power rankings when it comes to pitchers. Just an 8 total. Detroit is a slight favorite. Cleveland, tough matchup, but Flaherty, again, has been spectacular. Where do you have Cleveland and Detroit on the board?
Well, I mean, I'll put Cleveland on, and they'll be sitting at the roulette table because, like, if Flaherty only pitches like 80 pitches or something, we're gonna get the Tigers bullpen, which is a good thing for Guardians bats. But I mean, it's not like they're cheap. I mean, the Guardians to play Jose Ramirez, Stephen Kwan at 5,800. We got David Bryant 4,900. It's a little exorbitant. The Tigers, however, are cheap. I mean, outside of Riley Green, you could stack this team no problem. So Detroit's playing basic strategy blackjack with the idiots at the $5 minimum table, and I think the Tigers may be a little bit under. I mean, no one's going to play Howard, so it's not like you're getting leverage there. But I think they may be half as owned as the Reds, and I think that deserves them for being at the blackjack table.
Are you the guy at the blackjack table that like yells at the person in the end who takes a hit when they're not supposed to take a hit and they take the dealer's bus
No,
card?
because it doesn't matter, Dean. I don't want to have this. You said, Dean, that we're running out of time. That the crunch they're coming on in 9
But I
minutes.
wanted a rant out of you.
I can rant for that for 3 hours. How it does not matter. It does not matter.
Well, it matters in that specific instance, but
No,
like as an overall,
it doesn't. Dude,
well, what do you mean? It doesn't matter.
Go
You can play it out. You can play multiple scenarios.
Game theory. You'll find a 7 million page paper written about it with all the permutations. It doesn't matter.
Can I just in one individual instance, if it would matter, but like you're saying in the overall, like sometimes they do the dumb thing and it works out, and sometimes they do the dumb thing and it doesn't work out. People rarely they say thank you for being an idiot.
Regardless.
So you're saying as an overall, it doesn't matter. You're not saying in one particular instance.
But is
that what you're saying?
Obviously, are we playing DFS just today, Dean? And DFS goes away forever. No, so it doesn't matter what happens on this one slate. It happens that we make good decisions overall, slate to slate to slate to slate to slate, and then we profit in the long run. That's how anything.
I could just see you giving this thing. I could see you giving this think guy to the person. I like being the person at the end because I want to be that guy making those bold decisions. And also, I'm clutch. I don't know if you know that. Washington and the Mets. David Peterson taking on Mackenzie Gore. 8.5 total. Bad ballpark, but historically a good, weather-wise, a good hitting environment there for the Mets, about as good as it's going to be. Gore has been very good, but obviously he's not as good as Skeens. He's not as good as Flaherty. Where do you have the Nats and the Metropolitans?
I think the Mets are going to be over-owned today. They're expensive also. I know Steve wants to put the Mets at the blackjack table. I put the Tigers at the blackjack table. The Tigers should be at the blackjack table. The Mets should be at the roulette table. So I mean, they're good enough. They're not, they're not baccaratting up. Oh, there we go. They're too expensive. If they were cheaper, sure. They're facing Gore. I don't know. The Nationals, I mean, they're cheap outside of Abrams and Thomas. I mean, I'd rather play the righties, but I mean, look, you got Abrams, you got Wood, you got Winker, you got Luis Garcia. And anytime Luis Garcia is in the lineup for the Nationals, I don't even bother loading up any type of CSVs because it doesn't matter. Because once Luis Garcia is batting for any team, you might as well, you're gonna get pitching stats for him. So I definitely don't want to play him at 4,600. So yeah, I mean, I guess the Nationals, like I said, the roulette table weirdly always has way too many people around it for a 5.25% negative edge game.
Peterson doesn't have the biggest splits in the world for what it's worth. Looking at plate IQ, there's so much red on that Washington side against lefties. It's so bad. After Abrams and Thomas, it's a small sample for Wood, obviously a lot of promise. Small sample for Yepes as well. But it's just interesting to see all the red popping there. You mentioned we don't have time to get into it. I wanted to get you on another rant as far as roulette. How evil is 0-0? Like they weren't making enough money. Like how do we make more money? Let's add another zero.
They do 0-0 now, Dean. They do 0-0.
No, they don't. Where do they do 0-0? I will boycott. Where is that?
The Caesars, Indiana, over here, they have 2 roulette tables. One is 0-0, one is 0-0, and there are people that play on the 0-0 one instead of the 0-0.
And it's the same odds, like as far as the same payout when it comes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to tell the people or it's like it's their fault?
Dean, remember what I said earlier? You forgot.
Yeah.
People are stupid.
0-0? That's outrageous. It's like, I guess if you can get away with it. All right. We don't have no Pittsburgh lineup just yet. We're waiting on Cruz. His availability. He hasn't played in several games. I'm guessing that is what's holding him. It's still 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours until first pitch. So maybe that's not what it is, but we are projecting him in currently. They tend to lean in just more likely, just unless it's like very, very clear he's not going to play. We did get Milwaukee's lineup. Savali taking on Skeens. Skeens, best pitcher in the world, on fire. He's had like 11, 12 starts in his major league career. He's in the All-Star game. Everything's coming up Skeens. Yeah, Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. Where are we throwing these teams?
First off, to pose to Jen Stoner, I'm wearing a Shadow of Intent T-shirt, so he wanted to know. Brewers and Pirates. I put Brewers also at the Baccarat table. They can hang out. The Brewers and the Rockies, tons of leverage there, but are they going to be the top stack of the slate? I don't think so. I think it's perfectly fine playing one-offs from the Brewers and the Rockies because you could still play Paul Skeens and still play like Sal Frelick, right? Like against him and just $3,500, solo home run or something like that. Garrett Mitchell, it's some cheap lefty, especially. Maybe not Terang, but I mean, I guess you can. I mean, you could do it. And then the Pirates, I'm put the Pirates at the blackjack table. Savali is going to be way owned because the context of the slate is that you can't get really expensive bats playing like two top pitchers. So I think Savali goes way, way owned. I mean, still think he's the top cheap pitcher on the slate, but the Pirates only have a 3.85 implied run total, but Savali ain't anywhere near the class of pitcher as Gore, as Flaherty, as Green, as Skeens. I'm willing to stack the Pirates against them, even without Cruz. Because look, if you take O'Neill Cruz out of the lineup, the stack gets even cheaper. So, like, you could afford a McCutchen, Reynolds, Tellez, Gonzalez, Sawinski type of lineup. You could play Palacios, even though there's some pinch hit risk there. You could play some of these guys. So, like, if I was playing one lineup today, right? I think my lineup would be a Pirates Reds lineup, like Pirates Reds tie, like right on the top, craps blackjack, Reds, Tigers, Pirates, and whatever pitchers fit into those lineups. Out of if I need Savali or don't need Savali, if I need to play Peterson instead. That's kind of what I'd be doing today.
I love Reynolds I'm not really sure what's going to be ownership wise, but I love him as a tournament play today against Savali. I don't think it's bonkers if you're playing Savali to play Reynolds against them either. If you're just sort of thinking about like playing hitters against your pitchers as a way to be different. I think you could probably play up to 2 for the record as far as rostering hitters against your pitchers. Again, 4-game slate, goofy stuff's going to happen. Something, it'd be that one guy that just sort of separates from the field, and you don't really know who it's going to be. Riley Green's another one. We talked about Detroit, but I think he's going to grab some ownership just because that matchup against Howard. Detroit stack, he's the most prized piece there for sure. Any questions in chat, by all means, fire them off. I know Crunch Time is coming in here momentarily. We have we got Squirrel Patrol, we got Stevie, Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth as well. Again, reminder, there is an early show early for 4:30. 4:30 is the start of tonight's later slates. Stevie's saying he actually likes your board.
First time, Dean. This is the first time I think ever that Stevie approves of one of my tiered lists.
Yeah, he also said in a private chat, he told me how much he loved today's Sleep Thursday. So he's just easily impressed. I might have made that up. He did not. He probably is not aware of Fleet Thursday. What are the Sims telling us? Have you run the Sims? What have you seen from the Sims today? Anything different?
We need to wait. Dean, O'Neill Cruz is still in the Sims, so like it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
The shortstop is $5,100 shortstop, so I don't take that into it. It basically, it says that Savali is way overowned. I mean, like that's the number one takeaway. Is Savali is going to be way overowned, and everything else, the bats. I mean, with O'Neill Cruz still in there, I truthfully, you're gonna have to wait until the Pirates lineup comes out for the Sims to be that accurate.
Giving a refresh, we have Skeens at 55, Green at 47, Savali at 30, Peterson 21, Flaherty at 20, Gore 17. So like if that holds. Again, I don't love the matchup here against Cleveland, obviously, but I think you're supposed to be a little bit over on Flaherty. I think you're supposed to be a little bit over on Gore at 17% and under on Savali. But, I'm just playing the home version of the Sims. With that said, though, we do have all 3 components. Voltron has come together for crunch time. We got Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. We have Squirrel Patrol. We have Stevie. Let's go ahead and bring it crunch time. What is up? Happy Thursday. Stevie, normally this is the time you would be complaining about the board. You didn't like what you saw, but you're actually satisfied on a Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, slots was last and craps was first. So solid. Right there. It doesn't matter about anything else as long as those two are where they're supposed to be.
Did you hear that there's a 000 now, apparently, allegedly, in Indiana for roulette? Like, these savages, they're not making enough money off of 00. I cannot believe. I just
all
love
over
learning
the
of
place.
this, and I'm very
They're in
upset.
Las Vegas too, Dean. It's not just here; it's everywhere.
It's already, the game is already rigged. You got to rig it more. And this is upsetting to me. I don't know why it's upsetting me, but it's upsetting me.
They want 7.5% hold rather than 5.25%. That's what they want.
And you said like next to each other, like one table is
Yes,
00,
there
one
will
table
be a
000.
double roulette wheel next to a triple roulette wheel, and both wheels will be open, and there will be like 4 people playing on one and 5 on the other. And okay,
All right. Are you, Kevin Roth? Are you as outraged about this as I am? I'm just learning of this. But,
it seems wrong. It'd be like if they just suddenly changed the rules of blackjack on us and didn't, just kind of snuck it in there. Like, the dealer can get 22 now and it still beats you. Like, what?
No, they
you can't do that.
Roth, they've done that though.
The 6 to 5,
6 to 5 blackjack instead of 3 to 2 blackjack. If you don't look at the table of what blackjack pays, they do that now, especially at the lower limit tables. They pay
single deck sometimes, most of the time, almost always single deck is 6 to 5. I think, right?
Whoa, the blackjack doesn't pay out the way it used to.
Yeah,
depends on your tables.
On some tables, they do.
Wow, I did not know this. I don't like it, but I will say the list was great. Craps by far the best game. Slots probably the worst, unless you're just trying to bilk the place for free drinks and not lose any money. Then slots is okay.
Squirrel, you like a table, you play the table games, you play the slots, any of that stuff do anything for you? How did you feel about the blenders list?
So I don't know. I used to go to Vegas all the time, right? Like in my early 20s, a bunch of buddies go to Vegas, and then I stopped going, right? Got married, had a kid. And then we go to the Bahamas, and I've like sat down and played like the table games, blackjack. I feel it's like totally different years later, especially after like gambling with an edge for a long time, like gambling with no edge. Like it's like totally flat. Like I feel nothing. And like, so I just can't do it anymore. Like I'm just like sitting at this table wasting my time. I'm going to get up and go.
I would bet dollars to donuts that what's the big casino in the Bahamas? I know they built up a second one, but there's so little competition. It's 6 to 5 blackjack in the Bahamas, almost definitely.
I'm actually wearing a Bahamar shirt.
There you go. That works out. My brother's there right now. I think he's actually at the casino, but it just sort of works out. But all right, is Joey Chestnut an athlete? The people say no. That's outrageous. That's wrong. 64% say no. 35% said yes. I don't know what the other 1% said. By my math, there's still 1% hanging out there. They're undecided. But Blender, anything else for crunch time before we step aside and get out of here?
No, just all the stuff on the tiers list is bad. You shouldn't do it. Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a problem.
That was Blender. I was Dean. This is crunch time. Kevin Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. Good morning to you if you are Central Time Zone or West. Welcome to Crunch Time, to the sharpest minds in the biz. We got SquirrelPatrol in the house. What up?
Yeah, little 4-game slate, but should be fun. Got my Nationals on the slate, so yeah.
Very good. We'll take that. No weather concerns. I like that. We got Stevie in the house. I like that. What up, Stevie?
Hey, why did you say it's not like morning time for the East Coast? I woke up like an hour ago.
You see, technically it's 12:30
but
it's the afternoon, Stevie.
We have different schedules. I mean, I worked until like 4:30, so it's still like morning. Yeah, sometimes. NASCAR is so much easier to work on when my kids are not being loud in the house. So I do a lot of stuff at night.
Yeah, everything is so much easier to work on when kids are not being.
I wasn't gonna say that like out loud, but yeah, I mean, I love my kids for what it's worth, but they're loud. They get it from me.
I understand that. The morning grind, ironically enough, is an evening show. Correct? You do that at like what, 11? How late do you do the morning grind?
10 o'clock on the East Coast. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So technically close to the next day. But it's always been that way. We've always recorded the night before, 8+ years now. So
Yeah, you're a night owl. I'm a morning guy, and I like the morning slates. I like doing a morning crunch time. So let's dig in. I mentioned there's no weather concerns. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Still some good hitting on the East Coast, but let's talk about the slate. Who wants to lead in? I will leave it up to y'all.
I mean, I'll go first. I think the slate for a 4-game slate is actually not too bad. We got plenty of pitching options to choose from. We got hitters in tough spots that can take advantage of some of these pitchers, and then we have a couple offenses that should destroy these pitchers. So, I mean, I think we have an elite tier of pitching with Skeens, Flaherty, and Green. You could potentially throw Mackenzie Gore in there because of his strikeout rate. The Mets are just hitting the ball really well right now. The thing that's kind of jumping off the page to me today is Savali being like chalk. Like he's projected to be the third highest owned pitcher on the slate. And I mean, my initial thought is Savali chalk, just instantly fade him. Pittsburgh kind of stinks, and like he could definitely win this matchup, but we have too many other good options on this slate as far as pitching for Savali to be chalk. So my initial lean is to go overweight on Hunter Green, Flaherty, Skeens, Gore, and fade Savali. But I'm only playing like 3 to 5 teams on this early slate, and I feel good about that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, Skeens is by far my favorite pitcher on the slate. His strikeout rate is phenomenal. And then Green is right there with him. The Rockies strike out at such a high clip, but those are by far my top 2 options today.
Okay. Squirrel, I'll kick it to you. I'm looking at Savali. He's 6K. So, the upside being not him individually, but rather the bats you can get. But do you need that salary?
Yeah, I don't know that you do. I think Stevie kind of wrapped things up really well. He kind of said exactly what I was going to say. I'll add that every slate, you got to compare everything relative to each other, right? And this is actually a really interesting slate for just being 4 games early in the morning, or I guess early in the afternoon. And then we've got some pretty good pitchers on the slate. But the issue is we have a bunch of pretty good pitchers, a handful of pretty good pitchers on a small slate. And so that makes it so that they're not really separating like they would. If Paul Skeens or Hunter Green was the only good pitcher on a bigger slate, would be oh, you have to go really overweight. Now you can kind of pick what you want. And I will say that Aaron Savali is getting a lot of ownership because he's really cheap at 6,000, but I don't really know you need the salary. And I don't know, I don't know that I prefer him over David Peterson. And I'd probably rather spend up and get a little bit different and play Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore is actually, I think, a higher upside pitcher, and he's just in a very difficult matchup. Those things switch up all the time. So yeah, I would potentially go Gore and try to save money on hitting versus play Savali, and that's a different way that I've approached baseball DFS most of this season.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. I feel like we've covered it. If there was a cash game pairing, Squirrel, do you feel you could give me, what do you think the cash play is?
I think the cash game pairing would actually just be play Skeens and Hunter Green and save some money at hitting.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Let's flip it. Let's talk about the bats and the stacks. We mentioned some very good pitchers, but then there's also some dudes like Gomber and Howard, who I assume we're going to be picking on, but I don't know. I don't follow baseball. So Squirrel, you tell me.
No. Well, yeah, you follow it enough to know that.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got a handful of really pretty good pitchers, and then we have a handful of pitchers I don't really want to consider that much, and those are the hitters that I'm most interested in. I would say I don't necessarily want to overthink it too much on the slate. You do have a game in Cincinnati that's one of the best hitters parks outside of Coors Field in baseball, and so the Reds I think are going to be chalk. I think the Rockies are just a terrible offense, but I think you could play some one-off hitters, even if you're playing Hunter Green. I think you can play some of the Rockies one-off hitters as a kind of an interesting tournament thing. But yeah, I think the Reds are the definite chalk on the slate. I think the Mets are going to be pretty chalky against Mackenzie Gore. The Mets just have a bunch of guys that hit left-handed pitching really well. I don't mind playing Gore as a little bit of a contrarian angle either, but yeah, I mean, I think the Mets are going to see some high ownership, and that's one of those games you can pick either side, and it could go either way. But yeah, I think the 2 chalky teams are going to be the Reds and the Mets. I think the Reds are going to be chalkier, but I actually like the Reds a pretty good notch better than the Mets. I think then if you're looking at teams beyond that to try to get sneaky, I think Pittsburgh's an interesting option. They haven't announced their lineup yet. That's something I always like to do, is play the one team that hasn't announced their lineup. We don't know if O'Neal Cruz is going to be in the lineup, but yeah. So I think, Pirates, and you were kind of picking on that Aaron Savale unjustified ownership. Then other sneaky team that I like, probably Detroit. They're not really going to be sneaky, but I just think they're a little bit better than people perceive.
Okay. Good stuff. Stevie, your thoughts here stack-wise? Reds and Mets seem to be the consensus 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the Mets too, but I think that their offense is really good. I actually like the Pirates way more than people today, because Savali is getting all this ownership, and Pittsburgh actually is a pretty good leverage play here. They're on the road. They're in Milwaukee, which is a ballpark upgrade for them. And Savali is the third highest projected owned pitcher on the slate. So I like Pittsburgh. I really hope O'Neal Cruz plays. That helps the lineup a ton, because you could build around him and Reynolds and feel pretty good about having those two guys at the top. I love the Reds. They're the top stack on the slate for me. I mean, that's not really a secret by any means. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of speed. I like Detroit. I love that call. Spencer Howard is awful. He's been awful in AAA. It doesn't really matter where he's pitched. He's been awful this year. So I like Detroit, even though they're really bad. Riley Green is one of my favorite hitters on the slate. And that, I mean, basically it for me. I will say I have interest in Washington, like mini stacks today, because Peterson struggles with command and Washington has a lot of speed. So they could get some free walks here, which with their speed can turn into stolen bases. Anytime you get a guy that struggles with command, I mean, this is a guy that can walk 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters in an outing. So Washington is that like pesky team that doesn't really strike out. They're going to put the ball in play a lot, and they have a lot of speed. So I don't mind Washington like mini stacks today. Just trying to make my Skeens and Green builds different.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Let's go around the horn. We've got only like 16 minutes until we have to bounce, because we got some recording things that need to get done. So let's talk about position by position. Stevie, talk to me at the catcher spot.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Kelly, really cheap, $3K. One of the reasons that it's easy to fit in Skeens and Green is because, we have some decent catcher options that are cheap. Kelly and Adams are both really cheap. I think both of those guys are in play. Yasmani Grandal, if he catches here, if you want to pay up, I think it's paying up for a guy like Stevenson, who's not even that expensive. He has a great matchup against Gomber. He's a lefty, and I just don't think catcher's a position you need to go up to like Contreras against Skeens at 5,400 today.
Okay. Squirrel, any other names at catcher?
Yeah, I think Tyler Stevenson separates himself by a pretty good amount here, just because he's the highest projected and he's only 3,600, which is really pretty cheap. So I really like Tyler Stevenson. I think if you want to get sneaky, maybe Hunter Goodman. He's got some power. He's sitting in Cincinnati, and he'll see very minimal ownership.
Okay, great. How about first base?
First base, I think it's Spencer Steer. I think I've got him tagged there. Just in a really good spot against Austin Gomber. He's hitting up a little bit in the order. He's hitting second. Usually hits cleanup, but maybe an extra plate appearance there for him. If you want to get a little bit different from Spencer Steer, you can just play Candelario is hitting right behind him in the order, and then JD Martinez and Pete Alonso, really good. They hit left-handed pitching very well. All of these guys are going to be popular, but I don't know that I necessarily want to get that different. Moving beyond them, I think Juan Yepes saves you a ton of money at 2,500, and he's really a pretty good play. Pretty minimal interest in any of the other guys.
Stevie?
Yeah, I like the Yepes call. He was the other one. Candelario I'll use more at third base. Steer, Alonso, Martinez. The only other person I'll mention is Mr. Rowdy Tellez, 3,300 in those Pittsburgh stacks if you're playing Pittsburgh.
Take me to second base.
Yeah, second base is pretty straightforward for me. It's play Jonathan India as much as you possibly can. I just feel like he's the best play by far at second base today. Maybe a little bit of Nick Gonzalez on Pittsburgh stats, maybe a little bit of Colt Keith against Spencer Howard. But outside of that, nothing else. I mean, those are the 3 second basemen I have in my pool today.
All right. Third base. Oh, no. Squirrel second base. My bad.
Yep. No, I mean, I think it's Jonathan India is the clear leader there. I think Colt Keith gives you a pretty good amount of savings. He's sitting second in the order. Maybe Nick Gonzalez, if it is a kind of a sneaky play for the Pirates because he's like not announced in the lineup yet.
Yeah. All right. Third base.
Third base, Heimer, Candelario. Or if you want to go even cheaper, Novelli Marte. I don't mind Ryan McMahon. He's another Rocky that I would consider as like a one-off against Hunter Green. And then Jose Ramirez is a spend up to be a different option. Not a lot of people are going to be playing Cleveland. Like we know Jose Ramirez is a guy who can always play like a slate kind of out of reach. And he's going to see pretty minimal ownership just because he's facing Jack Flaherty.
Gotcha. Stevie, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, I think their base is pretty spread out for me overall. Like I like Candelario a lot. I like Vientos. I like Vierling. I like Marte. I love the Jose Ramirez to be different. Call McMahon to be different against Green. So I think their base is a position that you have guys in every price range. So it's a great position today. And third base would probably be like a slate deciding place today. I think you're going to see a guy go for 25 plus at third base, and it's just hoping you get that right one.
Okay. I think that takes us to shortstop, Stevie.
Yeah, I mean, no De La Cruz. Sorry, I was like lost my train of thought there. So Cincinnati, no De La Cruz today, which is always nice because then it's, Lindor is going to be your chalky shortstop play. If O'Neal Cruz is in there, it's a phenomenal spot for him against Savali. You're worried about the hamstring. Hamstring injuries suck because, he could be in the lineup, his first at bat, hit a ball out into the outfield, be running down first base and get pulled. So you're always concerned about that. CJ Abrams, lefty, I think is a great tournament play today. He's super expensive. But again, Peterson struggles with command. So I think that this is a guy you could get off of Lindor, especially if O'Neal Cruz doesn't play. Like if O'Neal Cruz doesn't play, Lindor is going to probably push like 40-50% ownership today. And Abrams might just be that like tournament pivot.
Nice. Okay. Squirrel, your thoughts are short.
Yeah, I think Francisco Lindor is the top guy. Willy Adames is a kind of an interesting play to he's going to see very little ownership. He's got power, hit a big home run last night. But I'm probably not going to get there myself just because I just envision him striking out like 3 times. But he strategically, he is a play you could play to get different that could change the slate.
Yeah, that's fair. Outfield.
I really like Spencer Steer, outfield eligible. Lane Thomas is somebody that's probably not going to see a ton of ownership, but I think he projects well. And so, good reason to play a guy that projects well at low ownership. JD Martinez, Brandon Nimmo with the Mets. I think Brian Reynolds is an interesting play. He's one of those guys you're taking the risk that he might not be in the lineup. Well, you should get that lineup pretty soon. Let's see. If you want to get really different, Sam Hilliard, I think hit 2 home runs last night, and he's only 2,500.
Okay. Stevie, I'm seeing some cheaper names that are kind of have some tags here. Perez, Hines. You getting anything cheap here, or you just spending up?
Yeah, Detroit cheap bats, right? Like that. They're not great, but they're facing a pitcher that is just really bad. So I like the Perez, Riley Green. The Reds outfielders, Spencer Steer is one of the top hitters on the slate. Lane Thomas is someone I absolutely love today. Squirrel was talking about him. I was talking about Washington's speed against Peterson and his struggles with command. So I like that. Brendan Nimmo is projecting for a ton of ownership. I'm really interested to see if he actually comes in that highly owned. It's a lefty-lefty matchup against Gore. It's a terrible matchup for him. I wanted to play him and then kind of saw his ownership and I was like, I'll take a shot on maybe like a Harrison Bader instead, who's much better against lefties and he's cheaper. And then Hines, he just keeps doing his thing. Ever since this guy got called up, he's hit. And there's no reason to stop playing him. Another bad lefty in Cincinnati. Austin Slater in the lineup today for Cincinnati as well. 2,800. One of the reasons that we don't need Savali as much as people are playing him is we just have all these cheap outfitters we can play.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Let's give the people some home run calls here. And Squirrel, I will let you lead us off. Who do you got going yard?
Let's see. Hold on. Home run calls. I will go Tyler Stevenson again. I think I called him last night and he hit a home run. And I will go Mark Vientos.
Very good. Stevie, you got a few names for me?
Yeah, Riley Green is someone that I like to hit a home run today. Should be a little bit off the board. I also really like Stevenson to hit a home run. And I'll go. I think I'll go way off the board here. Give me Rowdy Tellez to hit a home run for Pittsburgh.
Squirrel, you got something to add?
Going to add one more. James Wood, first Major League home run.
Oh, I love that. Okay, first Major League home run. You heard it here. Folks, if you've got any questions, get them in right now. Now's the time. There's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders, by the way. You got MLB, PGA, MMA, WNBA. You got football right around the corner. And whatever level you're looking for, we've got you covered. You can get a 6-month combo subscription for an exclusive price of $469.99. That is a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. You can also get your first month of RG premium for $40 off for a limited time. You know what I was trying to say. And if you want to test run, dip your toes in the water, 3-day pass is $19.99. I just bought an activity for my daughter, a little board game. That was more expensive than $19.99. And she's just going to open it, look at it, be bored, and go do something else. And that was $19.99. You get 3 days of RG premium for cheaper than that, which is absolutely amazing. Let's see what we got. Some QQs coming in, always starting with the RG Discord, which is just as simple. Is O'Neal Cruz going to be in? We don't know, right? We don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea.
I guess it is a difficult call because all 3 other games start at the same time. You actually are kind of taking a risk. You would have to drop down to, whatever shortstop is in for the Pirates. If
right.
It.
Okay, that is noteworthy. Dean and Just in Sports would like to point out.
Yeah, I did also great. Sorry, yes, his second home run.
His second. There you go. His second ever MLB.
We weren't supposed to tell you. We were going to let you be excited about it.
All right. Yeah, we should have let it ride. But you're reading.
As soon as I said it, I'm like, no, he went yard last weekend. But second major league.
Second bomb. That works. Let's see. We've got Michael in the YouTube chat. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, hit us with a thumbs up. These early why the hell can't I talk today? Early slates, getting out here, getting the content going, and we're not asking you to pay. We're just asking to hit that thumbs up, that like, and subscribe for us so that we get some more eyeballs. Michael says, Stevie, a 2v2, India Veerling or Kobe Keith and Noevli Marte. Noevli?
The first
Marte.
one.
Okay. Noevli? Does that sound right to you? Noevli?
Sounds good to me. I mean, you're asking the wrong person.
Yeah. I don't know. If anybody's got like a phonetic spelling of that one, let me know. I like Keith and Marte better. Okay, that's just a comment. A lot of comments, not a lot of questions. By the way, we do have to bounce early. As I mentioned, we've got some recording responsibilities that we need to get in. So we may be bouncing out of here if we do not get any QQs. Now's your chance to get in any last-second questions that you have. And if you haven't done so, you got to check out SimLabs. It is the expert DFS lineup generating tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs. It's available for PGA and MLB. Just takes a few clicks. You can have hundreds of well-built correlated lineups for whatever contest you're playing. And you can get access to SimLabs with an RG Premium subscription. So make sure you are taking advantage of that. $19.99 for 3 days of it.
We sidetrack on food all the time, right? Like that's our thing on Crunch Time.
We do. Yeah.
So I tried something for the first time today, and I feel like I've been missing out. Have you ever had hot honey?
Yeah, bro. Hot honey is so great. It's so good.
Like, how didn't I know this was a thing? I'm like so mad that I did not know that like hot honey was. We had the spicy talk last time. Like hot honey it's a game changer. Like I've already ordered another bottle. Like I know I'm going to go through this so fast. Like how didn't I know this was a thing, Roth?
It's fantastic. It's great for like fried chicken, but it's also, I'll put it in my salmon, hot honey on pizza. Apparently
that's how I had it today. I had hot honey on pizza, like a pepperoni pizza. Like it was so
it really
good.
Has some kick. Like it is legitimately spicy. And then the sweetness of the honey obviously is phenomenal.
So good.
Brad says I put it on some cornbread. It's great. I mean, what is it? The Frank's Red Hot thing? Like, I put that shit on everything. Like, you can do that with the hot honey. Squirrel,
yeah, I'm so mad that I did not know about this.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like something I should investigate. I've not partaken yet.
It's really, really good. Highly recommend. If you like a little bit of heat and a little bit of sweet, preach. Hot honey pizza is next level. There you go. I thought he was saying peach hot honey, which
I thought he was too.
I was like, there's flavors. I was unaware. Noel V is the pronunciation, by the way. Thank you for that. Brian says, Squirrel, Steer and Reynolds to get homers in a parlay. Any thoughts?
I like Steer. I mean, obviously it depends on what odds you're getting. I don't see why they won't hit home runs.
Yeah. Okay. We approve.
I was looking at it really quick to see what the odds were. So it's plus. If you parlay on the plus 1,500.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more of a responsible approach would be taking like Steer and Stevenson's like over total bases and at like plus 250. But hey, like if you're gonna throw a couple bucks on it for entertainment value, why not?
Yeah. Matt, I like this. He says, hitting the like is like taking off your shoes when you enter someone's house. It's just common courtesy. We got free content here. You're right. That is well said, Matt. I might start saying exactly that. I'm stealing that line. Let's see. I think with that, we've done it. We've answered the questions. We've given the food takes, and we've got to bounce on out of here. So, we got one more question coming in. Brendan says, Squirrel, Perez Hines or Vierling Slater DK Cash? Perez Hines, Vierling Slater DK Cash.
I think I closed my windows. I'm going to lean like Vierling. Well, Slater's probably going to get pinch hit for. I'd go Perez Hines.
Perez Hines. There you go. Michael says, I put the hot honey on my face. When I said to put it on everything, I meant food, but you do you. You do you. Whatever you want to do, that works. We're going to get on out of here now. So for Squirrel and for Stevie and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you later on today. You have been crushed.